I'm Tatiana Massa, and to my left, Matt Sirreal. And to my right, I have the Revron, Ron Martin.
So
Okay.
we're gonna elaborate on what the power of three means to us and each other, right?
Yeah.
We're also going to be talking about mental health. We're going to be talking about topics that can also help other people just by watching. You know, the mind, body, spirit.
Good
Oh,
footy.
it's live!
Welcome to another episode of the TPOT podcast.
What's up,
With me, I have the lovely Tatiana
Hi.
and the lovely Matiana, Matt Sirreal. Gonna give some land recognition because it's important, and we want to give thanks as uninvited guests on this unceded territory of the T-Shot and Hoopachesit people. Thank you for having us and welcoming us. I'd also like to extend a thanks to the crew at Rainbow Wave Studios and all the people behind the scenes. You know who you are for the charcuterie, you know,
The sandwiches.
yeah,
Sandwiches.
super nice. Thanks, guys. So we're gonna delve deep into some topics here on this episode 2 of the Teapot podcast. We're gonna start off with a topic I came up with. I thought it was important to address because of recent activities in my life. The expression.
I'm sorry.
That's good. The importance of expression, which Matt is doing so unbridled right now. The importance of expression and what that means. And I just want to take a moment to share an experience that I had recently. So my mom passed away a while ago, and I was driving in my car, and she could tell that's weird, but I was pent up, and I wasn't expressing myself. I was struggling with a lot of things. This was like a year ago, I think, that when this situation happened. I was probably like arguing with friends, not getting along with certain people. Work was, shit at work was bugging me, and I wasn't expressing it. And I heard my mom say, it's kind of funny, she's like, if you don't let a fart out naturally, you'll pop your fucking eye out. And I was like, what? But I got the message, She said it to me in a way that I'd understand the message.
True.
And it's like, if you don't let things come out naturally, the way and place they're supposed to come out, it'll build up and it'll cause more damage by trying to escape some other way, And I had an experience just last week because I haven't smoked weed in like 3 months now, and my mind is so clear. I feel on top of my game, all cylinders firing, And so now I'm expressing myself thoroughly. I'm not holding anything in. I'm addressing issues as they come at me head on, I don't want any unresolved shit. I don't want to be like, I'll deal with that later. I'm anxious and ambitious to just get shit done and check the boxes off as they're coming at me, So I had an experience last week where a coworker was just doing some dumb shit, and I was like, I don't fucking like this. And I went to my boss, I expressed it. I was like, they shouldn't have did this, why'd they have to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of put me in check a little bit. He's like, well, you do dumb shit too, sometimes you're not very professional, or you might, share something in not the most appropriate way or considerate way. And I agreed with him. I was like, yeah, that's totally right. I'm just venting right now to you, and I just need to exhaust it to somebody, and I need to let it out, and I trust my boss, so I shared it with him, right? And then I went off on my own, and I was reflecting, and a current theme that week was like being your authentic self, no matter what, even if it's ugly. And I'll use that analogy again, like the fart. Nobody likes to smell a fucking stinky fart, but shit happens.
I'm sure there's
literally. So
does.
whether it's ugly or not, it has to come out, And me venting to my boss, even though it wasn't right of me to be all annoyed and irritated, me venting it allowed it to come out, and me kind of observe and analyze it as it was out there, and then decide whether it's something I wanted to continue doing like that, or not. And if I would have left it inside and harbored it, I would have just validated it within myself and been like, yeah, she was a bitch, and she was wrong for doing that. I didn't get anybody's feedback. I didn't get to reflect on it. I just would have harbored it inside. So it's super important, in my opinion, to express yourself, even if just to correct yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be hard on yourself.
Well, and I think it allows us to get out of our own head. Like when I used to work on the crisis line, we had this thing called venting without regard, where we could talk to a coworker when we're all off the phones and just regurgitate the stuff that we had just gone through, so that that person could be like, yeah, you know what, that was messed up. That was really fucked up. But like, here's how you dealt with it. You did really good. And it kind of validates us, right?
Yeah.
So, because if we get stuck in ourselves, we don't get that opportunity to see it from a different perspective, right? So that's why it's so important to have cheerleaders, to have people that you can speak with and unpack this stuff. Because if we don't, we're just stuck in our own head, stuck in that cycle of, oh man, I did this wrong. I didn't react to that properly. This is how it affected me. You're dwelling on it. But if you can have an outside perspective of someone being like, you know what, man, if someone said something similar to me, that's how I would have reacted too. So it kind of validates your own feelings, so that you're not feeling like I am doing this wrong, you know. And they can also point out things that you may have been doing wrong yourself. So then you can kind of check yourself.
Totally.
You know what I mean? You can check your own reaction to that. And then also with me, it helped me realize where those reactions are coming from. Why was I triggered by that? Why was I, the source of it. Like, why did that affect me so much? Okay, it comes from this level of childhood trauma, or this thing that my mom used to do, this thing that used to happen to me as a kid. And that's why I reacted in such a way. Because I think it's so important that what you said is like the analogy going back to the fart, but like, a lot of people before our generation didn't ever talk about this stuff, right? Like if you went through something, you dealt with it, you got on with it, you moved on, you soldiered on. And then when people are going to like old folks' homes or getting into their older years, now all that trauma is coming back, whether you want it or not. It comes back in health issues like cancer. It comes back in things like all of a sudden uncontrollably crying and you have no idea why. PTSD,
chronic pain.
right? Chronic pain.
Physically.
It does. It manifests physically. And you're going to addiction to numb out those things that you haven't dealt with, you haven't expressed, you haven't unpacked. So I think it's important, the expression piece of it, because if you're able to express and unpack, you can deal with it in the moment, and then it goes into that compartment in your brain of, okay, I've been through this, I've dealt with this. It gets filed it's like a computer defragging itself, right? Like if you put it in the right folder, you put it in the right folder. Now you can go to sleep at night, and it doesn't get put in the folder of I'm going to be re-traumatized every time this happens to me. It goes in the folder of I've been through this shit. I know how to deal with it. And I know that if I talk to one of my friends like Tatiana, she's going to understand where I'm coming from. And she might not have the same perspective as me and be like, you were totally right. She might call me on my shit, but that could be what I need in that moment to check myself. You know what I mean? Because if you check yourself, at the end of the day, that stuff's not piling up into that trauma onion that eventually is going to make you cry. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is the trauma onion layers up.
It's true.
And eventually you're going to deal with it whether you want to or not. 100%. You're dealing with that shit.
Even if you're worried about being perceived as an asshole or like, you know, irritable, it's so important to just let it out, you know. But also like, I shared this with my dad, and he's like, well, you know, I was sitting at work in the cafeteria, and this guy just fucking lets out a big fart in the middle of the, like, lunchroom, and there's a time and a place as well, you know? Make sure you're doing it around people you can trust, make sure you're picking an appropriate, you know, place to do this. So, before Tatiana gives her input, you said it manifests physically in pain, too, and stuff like this when we hold it in. I also heard that scientifically, kids who eat their boogers and people who smell their own farts, it's for data analysis. It's so, because you were like, we need to find out where the source is, right? But scientifically, biologically, that's why people do that. Why kids eat their boogers is so their immune system can be like, what's going on with our external body and what's coming in. You know what I mean? And then,
well, and it also, like, I'm sure that there's biological reasons for that, right? Like like back in the day, people would test how sick they are, or if they're getting sick that way.
Doctors
you know what
would
I mean?
drink
Doctors,
piss.
that's
Doctors
wild.
would drink piss. You can go to the museum and see.
If you kiss your baby's forehead, that you will start to produce the right breast milk antibodies for the baby.
Right.
There you go.
It literally sends a message
Biopsychosocial functioning shit.
That's nuts. I haven't produced breast milk in a long time.
That's a good kiss my forehead.
Could produce breast milk right now.
Hennessy breast milk.
Mint
That's
tea.
Interesting, though.
Mint tea.
Yeah.
All intertwined, you know?
Well, when you were speaking, it actually kind of made me think of the flight or fight response, you know? And everyone is flight, fight, or freeze, but I am a fixer. No one ever talks about the fixing. It's like, no, I don't want to do this facade of this projection of how, you know, this expression, right? It's like, I'd like us to take it further, and you could still have
that's
that,
responsible, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You could still have that response, but like, let's sit here and work it out, because I think expression, you know, you can vomit or word diarrhea, whatever you want, but if you're not willing to do the work after that, then it's also kind of falls on deaf ears, and then can be like a power trip or a flight or a freeze.
Manipulation too, yeah.
And so I also just wanted to give like a kudos to you guys for being men and like speaking about expression and talking about it really fluently, because I think that is definitely the definition of divine masculine, and it's not talked about enough. It's not shown enough examples. So
it's important.
I'm really grateful to be here and listening to it.
Well, I think we're hardwired, right? We're raised to be the caveman, the hunter-gatherers. We're raised to like deal with it and get on with it. But the fact is, more men die from suicide every year than women, just because men tend to hide it. We deal with it in different ways. Our anxiety becomes anger as opposed to tears, you know. So women, if they tend to wear it more on their sleeves, there's more attempts by women, but there's more completions by men, because men will hide it until the point where they're just gone.
Yeah.
Women will show a little bit more signs, emotions, right? We call women emotional creatures, which is great, because we can see those trouble lights. We can see those engine lights come on and deal with it in the moment, as opposed to guys just being angry and pissed off and punching things, when really that's just anxiety within ourselves for feeling less than, for feeling like we're not doing enough, you know, like. And I think that it's important, like me at the Christ Society, I was one of the only men that worked there. Like there was maybe one other man that worked there, and it was because men just don't want to talk about this shit. We don't want to reveal the fact that we could be feeling weak in certain moments, right? We could admit weakness. But the funny thing about admitting weakness is it makes you stronger in the end.
Yeah.
Because you're
sexy.
able. Right? You're able.
It's wellness. Wellness is sexy.
Yeah. And working on yourself is sexy, in my opinion.
Vulnerability is sexy, right? And I think it's also, it's uncommon with men. So when it happens, it's like, I think most women feel like totally stopped in their tracks by it, and it's like they don't know what to do with it, because they're so used to banging on a brick wall with no response, you know?
Yeah. And like, as you say that, most men or men in general are known for like punching things to express those deep-seated kind of emotions that they need to get out. There's different ways to express shit. Like, it doesn't need to be verbally and negative. It could be like painting, music, you know, punching a punching bag, push-ups, lifting weights, sports, fucking all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Quiet expression.
Right.
Yeah, just venting while you're in silence and calmness. All types of methods of expression. And it's important to obviously find your own niche, or a few ways of venting, you know, and exhausting your stresses and your problems within yourself. Whether it's talking to friends, whether it's punching a bag,
What's your favorite form of expression?
Writing helps me a lot. Writing, I find, is like a deep cleanse. Like, it pulls shit out I wasn't even aware of. It incorporates like God's hand, the universe, and incorporates things I'm dealing with, my friends' stuff, stuff I'm not even aware of that I'm venting and exhausting. The pen kind of chisels away all the insides and pulls it all up, you know, and I get to put it out there sometimes. But also communicating and talking, vocalizing what I'm experiencing. Like, when I'm experiencing something, it helps me so much to exhaust and vent it to people near me, so they could see what I'm experiencing. And talking it out helps with me a lot.
Well, and I think that also allows people to provide their perspective on it too, right? Like, because you're not just looking at it through your little tiny lens.
Right.
Now you have another lens shining light on it
as well.
Yeah, you're having feedback, and you're like, you know what, I was being an idiot there, or I was validated in what I was thinking, and I'm not the only one that thinks that way, right?
Yeah.
Or like you were being a complete idiot in that moment, and here's another perspective, and then you could be like, oh, thank you for checking me, because now I can check myself on that aspect too. Like, for me, writing is not only able to express myself and get rid of that deep-seated trauma and whatever's in there, but it's also like a way for other people to relate to that too and feel less alone with what they're going through. So in that way, your expression can help it could inspire people.
Yeah.
It can inspire people
Right.
to express themselves in healthier ways too, you know what I mean? Because like
beautiful.
I've heard people say, yo, I listened to your music and I wrote my first poem since high school.
Right.
Like, and now I feel better because I wrote down a bunch of shit that I really didn't want to think about,
Yeah.
but I wrote about it, I cried about it, and now I feel better the next day.
Or it helped me not feel alone with my stuff and
Exactly.
relate to it.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you express yourself?
Ooh. So I'm actually glad you asked that because I have some like expressions that are not as easily noted as like writing. So like I like to do like creative design and organization as like a form of expression. So
Right.
like decluttering and like putting things where they belong and
Interesting.
creating
Balancing things.
yeah, balancing
Harmonizing
things.
things.
Yeah, creating sacred spaces and organizing
Which you're
groups
really good
of
at.
people
Yeah.
to give them a space to be able to facilitate what they need to do. So sometimes I feel like my expression is almost like a background expression that you don't notice is even happening.
Right.
like
It's like a
silent-
facilitating expression.
Yeah, facilitating is like my form
Harmonizing expression.
of expression. So that's
Oh,
why
that's awesome.
it's easy for me to be an event planner or
Right.
to talk a lot or
That's why you're good with people.
organize.
Well, and also if you've ever been to a festival where Tatiana set up the artist area, it's just absolutely comfortable. People are laying in there, like it's super vibey, like it's all really like you almost don't even
Considerate.
notice it's there. You're at a
Right.
music festival where you figure you're in the middle of a forest or something, and all of a sudden like you're home.
Yeah.
Or you're in someone else's really cool, like bougie, like home
Yeah.
somewhere, and it
Concept.
transports you to
Yeah.
somewhere
It
else.
does,
Like
yeah.
sometimes I go in and I'm like, whoa, I feel like I'm in a hookah lounge in Iran right now. Like
Right,
this
yeah,
is super
yeah.
dope. Like,
Yeah.
and I see like even my son when he came to Pacino or when he came to 5 Acre Shaker was like in there the whole time taking selfies. Like this is the best part of this whole festival.
Yeah.
I'm like, so performing isn't? He's like, no, this little area where I'm
Yeah.
chilling is like, so like that form of expression is
Totally.
so much needed too. You know what I
Comforts
mean?
people.
Right?
Yeah.
Enhances their experience.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
definitely like I love it. I love doing it for like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, not that it isn't sacred to do it for like my family
Mm-hmm.
or myself or my husband, but it's like when you can really capture, you guys would know,
Yeah, yeah,
right? A
yeah.
group of people vibing and enjoying that moment. That's when I feel like my expression, my creativity is like at its peak.
Of course.
And like fulfilling purpose.
The more people reaping the benefits and rewards
Yeah.
of your expression, the
yeah.
better.
And then they're expressing themselves better, and then like it just continues and continues.
Yeah,
and
perpetuates,
continues.
unflowers the flower of life. Yeah,
Totally.
expands on, extrapolates.
It's reciprocal. Yeah, I think like you're also like a really good host too. You know, when people come over to your house, there's always like, okay, what can I do to make your experience in this environment better? You know, and that's your whole thing is like creating an environment where people really feel comfortable and really feel nice. Like you could tell by like even just being in your house and the vibes of that and the tree growing up the middle of your house and like, you know, it's just like when you go there, it's not your house, but you feel comfortable there. You know, it almost feels like a home when you walk in.
A home for
You know?
others, too.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
well,
totally.
and that's what it's for. And I think that actually goes back to like my childhood. You know, I was an only child, so I was like super lonely, and it's like, well, how can I lure
Oh, yes.
all the kids to
interesting.
my house?
Yeah.
What
Right.
can I do
That makes
so
sense.
that I'm not lonely? And I guess hearing myself speak, like that is definitely a common trend. So it's like, you know, if you're struggling with loneliness, how can you invite people into your space to make them feel comfortable to sort of mitigate
Sheesh.
that? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's awesome.
so I think we
That
struggle
makes
with that
sense.
a lot.
We do. Yeah. I mean, I do. Pre-COVID, I used to be like, my friends would be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go now." I'm like, "What? Where are you going now? Like, we could still hang out." And then after COVID, I was like, I like being by myself a little bit more.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? It's kind of created this place where I'm okay being by myself, which was never a thing. Like up until like literally up until COVID happened, I was always needing to be around people,
Right.
always needing to be social. If I wasn't, I felt like I was having anxiety.
Right.
I'd clean my whole house from anxiety. But then after that, I was like, now what? Like, now what am I going to do? I need to go be around people. I need to go be in a bubble with other like-minded individuals. And now, like, I've found that I can actually be with myself, which is a very strong thing to be able to do, because when you're able to do that, then you can get things done that no one else is going to allow you to do. When they're
Yeah.
in your space, they want to do the things that they want to do too.
Right.
So you're not going to be like, oh, I got to get this like financial stuff ready while you're sitting with me
That's
right
true.
now. You know what I
That's
mean?
very true.
So when you're by yourself, you're like, oh, I can get all the things done that I needed to do for myself that no one else is gonna do for me.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
that's that organization piece,
Yeah.
right? So like you gotta have that comfort piece and that together piece, but then you also have to take back at that organization piece and
Yeah.
create space for yourself.
Yeah.
Hard though.
Beautiful.
It
For
is a-
children.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also hard when you don't necessarily want to be in your own head. You know, when you have all of this stuff that we're talking about,
Yeah.
the layers of trauma, and you're now sitting there left with just your own thoughts,
Right.
It's like, okay, now I have to seriously think on the stuff that I need to get done, or like
Find a
distract
healthy
myself.
way
Yeah, find a healthy
express it.
outlet to express it. Find something to do that's not necessarily going to just take up my time, but be productive.
Right.
Because if you're not productive, then I don't know about you, but I need to be productive.
I do.
If I'm not productive, I feel like I'm not doing enough.
A terrible human.
Right? I'll play video games to relax myself because it distracts me and takes me out of this earth.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have to think about it, which is the same reason I used to read books. But I find at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I need to put this down because I'm not getting
And
these things
physically
done.
do some stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to go do some
That's-
things that I'm not doing right now.
That's a great segue into the next topic.
Perfect.
Because when you're not being busy and it's neglectful,
Yeah.
and you start to, you're genuinely neglecting a part of the Trinity that is yourself. You're neglecting your body. So I got the opportunity to go to these Taoist retreats, and the next topic is about balancing the Trinity within you, you know, mind, body, spirit, and the body being the one that you're neglecting when you're not doing things, when you're not getting up and accomplishing things, you know. You're neglecting an aspect, an important aspect of yourself. So I want to share just a story. I got to go to these Taoist retreats and listen to speakers from all over the world and sit with like a translator and listen to them speak about the things they've learned throughout their journeys of life. Some shared like past life experiences, but a lot of them were doctors, and they shared what they've learned based on what they know about spirituality and life and truth, and how it's incorporated into science and biology and psychology. So one of the things I saw there was they broke up the mind, body, spirit, and they said the body is like the employees of a company. The mind is like the manager, and the spirit is like the owner.
Right.
So if there's a disconnect between one of them, it's going to affect the other.
100%.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's like I've recently been exercising for the first time in my life, like genuinely putting an effort to exercise, right? And I noticed, because I'm hyper aware of my levels, the Trinity within myself, I pay attention to it. I genuinely noticed that I had to tell the manager to just like fuck off. Like, I don't have time to listen to you. This time is for the body. It's time for the employees to not be observed, to not be analyzed, to not be judged on their performance, to not be dictated and told what to do. It's time to shut off my brain and actually just exercise, put the body in motion, go for walks, fucking jumping jacks, push-ups, all that shit, right? And it's been so rewarding. Like, my body...
look good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I feel good. My body has like rewarded me with taking it easy on my brain. So it's not sending signals to my brain, complaining constantly.
Right.
It's not discontent if they were employees. You know, it's my cells, they're not discontent. They feel nurtured, they feel cared for, they feel loved. They feel like I give them attention. And the owner, which is my spirit, is overjoyed because the spirit sees that the body, which is the three, the third part, you know, the last one. It's not first place, it's not second, it's the third. It's the body that does the most work and gets the most neglect, right?
100%.
So my spirit is overjoyed that my body's getting attention and support and consideration. And my manager is kind of just like pining, you know, like, oh, when's it my time to chime in? Not really, because the manager's job is really never done.
Satisfied.
And I just think the manager has to be busy all the time because he oversees the body and has to answer to the spirit.
That's right.
So it's like, but it's so nice for you overthinkers to just like click the brain off and do something physical.
Yeah.
You know, accomplish shit.
Yeah. Well, I think that the owner is happy that the body and like the workers and the managers are being productive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So he's just like, my shit is running like clockwork right now.
Right.
Things are good. And with that mind with the mind and body in a line, the spirit can come through a lot clearer. You know what I mean? The ether Ethernet cable has gotten thicker. Those messages come in sooner, faster, right?
Yep.
You're able to get more creative again. And I think that with the working out piece, there's a lot of chemicals in our body that get stored in certain areas, and they create anxiety, they create physical ailments. And when we start to work out and get physically fit and get our mind cleared, then they go back to the places that they're supposed to chill at. You know what I mean? They're supposed to, like, you know, the lymph even starts moving around instead of being stuck. Your old injuries, they bug you at first, but then they strengthen, so your body feels like a little bit more capable of doing things. You know what I mean? So then you feel more confident within yourself. Yeah.
Less stress on all three dimensions of it.
Yeah.
Since the employees are happy, the manager is not pestered, the manager has an easier time.
Doesn't have to micromanage.
Yeah, the owner is good.
I actually have a very, like, a different perspective on that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Well, and I don't know if it was just the way that I did things, but again, being that entrepreneurial spirit and, like, super independent, really young, I kind of had a bad go with getting into some trouble in my teenage years.
No.
And I don't want to disclose it because I have children. But anyway, yeah, so I got into some trouble and I found spirituality really young. So, like, I found it at 15, was doing yoga, 15, doing meditation, was sober for like 6 years, sober for my 18th birthday, went to Vegas sober. So I was kind of like still an outcast because I was not doing all the things that the kids my age were doing. And then I became a holistic health practitioner, and I've gone and seen all kinds of tarot card readers, hypnotherapists, all sorts of, you know, spiritual leaders and advisors, and a whole bunch of different counselors as well, you know, all kinds of things. And so I feel like my mind and my spirit are super in check. But again, being an entrepreneur, wouldn't it make sense that the owner and the manager would be super in check, but my employees are completely run rampant. Like, my body, it's so hard for me to get into my body. And I think that is because of the mundaneness of it. Like, it's not exciting to just be in body, you know? And so the manager and the owner are always striving for more, striving for better, trying to
greatness and leveling up.
Right? And like, I've even tried to do mind and spirit stuff to, like, lose weight, you know, instead of actually putting in the physical work.
Right.
So for me, I'm glad we touched on this subject, because I've, like, when I was telling my friends about doing this podcast, I'm like, oh, aren't you nervous about talking? And I'm like, no, like, I feel like I've mastered my mind and my spirit. It's my body that needs all the work. So
interesting.
It is interesting as the three perspectives. I'd be curious to know which one of the three you feel like needs the most work.
Well, I had the experience at one of these retreats. So it collaborates with what you're talking about, your body, you know, and how you were feeling about that. You've heard the expression, like, your inner child, you have your inner child, right? I feel a lot of it, the body relates to me as the inner child of those three perspectives. So one time I was walking in a field, and my body was telling me, it was saying, like, I'm always driving, I'm always experiencing stuff. I always have to do the hard work. I always have to endure shit. I'm the one who takes the brunt of the damage.
Right.
I'm always in the moment,
Yes.
while you, the managers, kind of kick back, you know, like talking to my brain or talking to my higher self. And it was saying, you're always just kick back, and then you sit up in your chair to tell me what to do, to tell me what I can't have, to tell me what I'm doing wrong. And it's like, I want fucking chocolate when I want chocolate. I want to experience this when I want it. And that's what my body was saying, right? And then as a parent to a son, I was trying to say to my body, like, I get that. You know, I totally understand, and I've been there. I could relate with you, but I have to take care of you, and I know what's best for us, so we have to work together. And I'm more than happy to let you experience junk food and fucking dumb shit whenever you need to, but you have to consider my higher perspective, because I'm watching out for both of us. And in that moment, I reached down into the soil, and I dug my hands in the dirt, and I'm not over-exaggerating. It felt for the first time like I was connected with my different layers of myself, you know? The body was working with my mind, and the spirit was there, of course, overlooking. but my body and my mind were together feeling the soil.
Neat.
And it was a new experience. I was like, holy fuck, it felt different, you know? So I say to you, if you're saying it's not exciting to let the body or to do certain things with the body, I think if you consider it like you would a child and be like small steps, like just little things, just tiny little things, and that'll make your body happy.
I know, but that's not exciting.
I know, but there's other exciting avenues for you to explore with your mind and your spirit. So let your body have exciting things which are super mundane and super generic small potatoes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna go walk for fucking 30 minutes or down the street and back. Whoop-de-dee-doo. But it's profound.
I've been doing track. I've been walking the track with my friends, which is kind of fun because then it's not boring. So then
I know, but listen, if your mom said to you, if hanging out with you is fucking boring, you'd be like, oh, I don't even really want to do this. I'm not even gonna get better. Mom's just doing this because she's trying to make me feel better. But if you do it genuinely, like I love spending time with you and I want to do whatever you want to do. And it's like, well, I just kind of want to walk 20 minutes down this way and 20 minutes back. I think it'll have profound fucking effects, you know?
Well, I'm going to put it to practice.
Try it.
We'll pick it up
Yeah,
again.
try
See where
it.
we're at with
And I think reaching milestones is where it makes it exciting, right? People reaching their personal bests or their personal record of things, right? Like even just getting sober or whatever, you're hitting 30 days, like me and Revron haven't smoked in a while. I haven't smoked in like 17 months, 16 months.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, each day I feel like more clearer and like reaching these milestones of being able to say, yeah, like I don't want to be judgmental of other people that are still blazing, because I think it's great for people's like whatever they have going on, as long as you don't make it your crutch to depend on all the time. I reach those milestones and it makes me excited to reach those milestones. So even like walking 20 minutes, next time you walk 30 minutes, next time you walk 40 minutes.
So right,
and before you even know what's going on, you're just doing it out of habit. So then that's where the excitement comes
that'll
from.
appease
well,
her higher
and the
self.
manager
Yeah.
would want milestones. They would
Totally.
want goals.
Yeah.
So maybe if
Which would be exciting for you.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So the milestones and
Yeah, good
personal
point.
bests, right?
Brilliant.
Like
Yeah.
That's like why going to the gym can become very like addicting, because you're like, well, I started off, these little arms were lifting 10 pounds and now I'm lifting like 80.
Well, that's
So
what
it's
I've
like-
been sharing with everybody when I started working out. I was like, oh, I woke up in the morning and I'm like, I'm going to do 50 push-ups every morning. I started off doing 10 and I was like, okay, 5-second break. Okay, 10 more, 5-second break. And then after only 1 month, I was able to pump out 50 in one go. And I was like, holy fucking milestone. That feels so good, you know?
Nice.
So like walk down the block and back, down the block and back. Soon enough, you'll be around the block and then milestones.
Yeah, it's amazing what your body can do when you push your mind to do the things that you don't want to do that you consider to be mundane, right? Because like at first it's mundane. At first I feel like, holy fuck, I'm so out of shape. I should not even be doing this. But then you have to push through that wall of, well, I want to do this to make sure that I'm going to be healthy.
Yes.
Even for my kids.
Yep.
Right.
Even for the youth that I
That's
I don't
right.
want to be 50 and not able to like walk with my kid around the block, or like, you know, like I don't want to be in a wheelchair like at 55 because you just atrophied from not doing anything. So like even thinking about that and like doing it for someone other than just yourself,
That's
right?
right.
Because if you
Yeah,
lift it up to
exactly.
yourself, you could be like, I'm comfortable being where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, is my son going to be comfortable asking me to do a physical activity in 5 years and I'm not able to do it because I just decided to make it all about me?
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was
Right?
saying. Like you can't do it for you. You have to do it because you want your daughter or your body to feel loved and encouraged.
right.
Overarching theme, love.
Yeah.
You know,
You're right.
Loving yourself and loving others is reciprocating loving
it's
yourself.
good parenting.
Did you answer my question?
What was
Which
it?
one do you think that which out of mind, body, spirit, which one do you think you need to work the most on?
Body.
Body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I've
What
been
about you
doing.
too?
Yeah.
I would say maybe spirit. I think my body has been working okay for me so far. My mind is just a mess, and I've got to clean that up. That's a whole other thing. I'm working on my book right now, which is really helping with my mind, but it's also like bringing up a bunch of trauma, which is affecting my body again. But my spirit is where I've always kind of lacked because my family didn't have any kind of organized religion or
Right.
even Buddhism or meditation or any of that kind of stuff. It was just like there's nothing else out there.
Right.
Like when you die, you die. Whereas I believe in there's many other lifetimes that you get to live, because I know I'm an old soul. I've had recurring dreams of being alive before.
Right.
I've had instances where my brother and my dad and my mom watch over me and have helped me at a situation. So I know that there's another plane that's going on. I don't necessarily believe in any sort of organized religion. I believe that there's a creator. I believe that there's, we didn't just fucking pop out of nowhere. We're not dinosaur eggs. We're like, somebody helped us be here and is still here. And there's definitely other planets in our solar system that have life forms. You know what I mean? So I know that there's something else out there. It doesn't just end when we go into the soil. You know what I mean? It's not over with.
I would disagree that you're not or you didn't say you're not working on your spirit, but your spirit's been present the whole time, because your spirit is the simplest of all three, which is, what does the owner want from the manager and employees? It just wants the company to succeed and feel supported and loved.
Yeah.
So you hear that word within yourself, that I should be honest, I want to love myself and love others. And that's as simple as it gets, and that's all it is. That's what your spirit represents. So your spirit is very prominent in your everyday shit. You know what I mean? You just need to understand that's what it is, I feel. And you already exercise your spirit's authority, all the time.
Yeah, plus I drink spirits too, so that helps.
You do that too, yeah.
No.
Alcoholic bastard.
There's a reason. There's a reason that they call it spirits, because it takes away your spirit, to be honest. But I think that's a topic we could talk about all day, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so we had one more topic. I think we got like 10 minutes left or something.
No, let's go as long as we want. It's our fucking podcast.
Okay. Well, I thought since we got really heavy into it.
We did.
With the importance of expression and wellness and like balancing the Trinity within mind, body, spirit, knowing ourselves.
Let's balance it with some levity.
Well, I wanted to talk about music as the expression part,
Yeah.
and just like we thought we'd integrate that aspect into this podcast, musical discussions and breakdowns of some of our songs, just to start it off, So I'll start by, we made a song together called "Need to Know."
Yeah.
Do you want to share, because it was your song to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It was about, I won't elaborate too much, but it was about the person you were with or just separated from.
Mm-hmm.
You shared it with me, and I was like, I need to be on this. It resonated with me, and if you could just share "Need to Know," or "Long Time Coming."
Yeah, "Long Time Coming." It's the subtitle. Basically, it was just a song I heard the beat, and I really resonated with it, and I had just separated from my girlfriend at the time, and really was just like, I didn't want to write. I just wanted to be in my own misery. I just wanted to kind of sit and stew and marinate in that and steep in it, and I just realized that, like, this is not getting you anywhere, but like, you need to get out of the house. You need to start doing music again, because that's where your expression really shines. So I just started writing a song about, our breakup, about many other relationships even that I've had in the past, and like integrating them all into a song, and kind of had an idea of where I wanted it to go. And I showed it a little bit to Ron, and he was like, yo, I think we should do that song together. So I said, sure. And then he came over one day, and I was like, dude, I got this idea for the hook. He's like, well, no, I got this idea for the hook. I was like, okay, but like, let's just see. I want to show you mine, because I feel like it's obviously going to be better than yours.
Mine felt incomplete.
Yeah, and
I feel like I had a part. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was like, well, I think I've delved into this, and I'm in love with this beat. Like, he treats beats a little bit different than I do. He literally listens to it and listens to it and listens to it until he falls in love with it. Where I hear it and I have to love it right away. And then once I love it, I can start to paint on the canvas. And then Ron really like gets right deep into it, and like, he can structure it all in his head, which is a little bit different than me. I need to write things down, where he can just marinate it up top. And so like, I was like, okay, here, let me spit my part. And we put the beat on, and I spat my part. And he's like, no, let me spit my part. He spat his part, and I looked at him, I'm like, these go together.
Yeah. 1 and 2.
These literally go together. So like, I would spit my part, then he spits his part, and if you hear the hook, you know what we're talking about. It's a tapestry.
Yeah.
It's literally a tapestry of both our minds coming together.
We should include that song in the link.
Yeah, we'll put the song in the
play
link.
it as the song, as the podcast end phases.
Yeah, so we'll play "Need to Know" as it goes out.
But talk about what it meant, the essence of the song, what it was about.
Yeah, it's basically about you know, like what went wrong in my relationship. Why did it have to happen the way it did? Why did that person leave when I thought it was kind of going well? But at the end of the day, it helped me self-reflect on the fact that it wasn't going well. You know, that it was doomed. You know, like it was doomed. And like once I wrote the song and started to look at it, I was like, oh, this really was something that was like already in action. It was already happening. And I like wrote a song about us breaking up before we even broke up. And when you listen to that song, which is called Perfect Fit, it's like it was bound to happen. And I'm actually grateful that it did, because it was a very toxic situation for me. Like it wasn't a good scenario for me to be in. It wasn't very healthy at all. And again, it taught me how to be alone. It taught me all these different things. And me and Ron often talk about this. People are in your life for a reason. They teach you lessons, whether it be patience, whether it be like, that was a side of me that was fun for a bit, but now I got that out of my system. So now I have to go back to like the mature self. And for me, it was like I had been in foster care, always in a relationship since I was like 14 years old. And so now, out of spite, I literally took care of myself. Did all my laundry, did all my dishes, cleaned my house. And I was like, fuck you, I don't need you around to take care of me. I can take care of myself. And it was a huge reminder that, yeah, I can take care of myself. And sometimes we forget that. You know, when we're taken care of, when we're coddled, when someone's overachieving to get our affection, they can do a little too much and we can accept too much. So like, I felt like I needed to get back to that part of me that was like, I'm a fucking adult. I know how to take care of myself, you know? So I think, it was just a big lesson for me. What does that song mean to you, Ron?
Well, when I heard your part, I can't even remember if I heard your verse, to be honest. But for me, I was going through a separation, and there was all the untrust that was in the relationship, and the unknowing, and like the lack of transparency with your partner. And I was just like, I want to know, but in the next breath, I actually don't want to know. You know, because it's so it's hurtful. It's hard to look at, and it's like maybe it's not even for me to know. It's your own personal journey, and I've shared so much with you that it's like this is not for you to share with me. Also, I was experiencing some stuff and being unfaithful, and I was like, I want her to know, but I don't want her to know because it's not part of her journey either. And it was just interesting to be like, how am I on this journey with this person, but I'm branching off while still with that. I was like, it's not right. And also discovering that like this shit's been a long time coming. We've been feeling this way for a long time. We've been the untrust was there for a long time. The lack of transparency. And it was fucking. We got in the studio, and I was like Matt said, just like in love with the instrumental. So I was like humming some shit in the studio before Rob was like, I was just like humming and harmonizing with it.
Trumpets on that song are crazy.
And I only had like an hour and a half to record my shit, and I was at work. I dipped out of work to come record and then go to Ladysmith.
Don't fire him.
And I went to Ladysmith after I recorded. Matt was like, Rob, record him humming. You know, I was like, okay, whatever. And then I went to Ladysmith, and on my drive back, Matt bumped the shit from Rob back to me, and he's like, listen to this. And it just starts off with me humming my vocals. And I was like, what the fuck? And then the trumpets boom in.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't heard the song, you have to hear it. Long time coming.
Well,
Sirreal YouTube, long time coming.
And it reminds me of like, there's sometimes when we separate from someone where we're still asking them questions after we're separated that we don't want to know the answers to.
Yeah, fair.
Like I was like, who are you hanging out with?
Actually, don't tell me.
Is it one of my friends? Like, yeah, and you don't really want to know the answer to that. So sometimes don't ask those questions. Just be able to separate yourself from that, because you don't really want the answers to those questions. You want them for yourself, but that's a selfish reason, because if they really tell you the answer, it's just going to hurt you more. So I think it's a great song. I think you just have to listen to it.
I think everything you guys create together is fire, because you have such a beautiful friendship, and you're both Geminis, so you both got that twin personality that bounces off each other, and I think it's just always magic, you know?
Yeah, it's a good experience.
Yeah.
I think that concludes our podcast.
For today?
Yeah, for today.
Thank you. Check out that song in the link, and don't forget to follow us. And
we'll post the link in the comments. Also, follow us on the TPOT podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That link will also be in the comments. Follow all our social media, Revron Music, Sirreal Music Official, and we're going to get Tatiana up to speed on her social media as well. Thank you for tuning into the Teapot podcast. We just really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate your guys' vibe and energy.
Same.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you guys too.
T3.
Out.
Peace.